You reveal weakness every time you perform these behaviors in public, signaling submission to predators who quietly catalog you as disposable, controllable, and replaceable. You were trained to believe public spaces are neutral: cafes, offices, streets, rooms full of people you'll never see again. That belief is a liability. Public is not a stage for expression. It is a battlefield for assessment. Every time you step into public view, you enter a silent arena where hierarchy is being negotiated without words. No one announces it, no one explains the rules, but everyone participates. Humans evolved to scan for weakness the way predators scan for limps. This instinct did not disappear with civilization. It simply became quieter, cleaner, more surgical. When you speak, move, react, hesitate, overshare, apologize, laugh too loudly, check your phone nervously, or seek validation with your eyes, you are not being yourself. You are submitting data. Public behavior is not about what you intend. It is about what others extract. Most men fail here because they confuse visibility with presence. They think being seen is power. In reality, being readable is weakness. The more transparent you are, the easier you are to categorize. Once categorized, you are managed, ignored, exploited, or discarded. Power does not announce itself, it observes. Every public environment contains three layers operating simultaneously: the visible layer, conversations, movement, noise; the social layer, norms, politeness, surface-level roles; and beneath both, the predatory layer, subconscious ranking, threat assessment, usefulness calculation. This third layer is where decisions are made: promotions, respect, access, trust, exclusion. You live or die there. The mistake is thinking this process is moral. It isn't. It is mechanical, like gravity, like pressure, like blood scent in water. When Machiavelli warned about public conduct, he wasn't preaching etiquette. He was describing survival mechanics. In public, you are never among equals. You are among evaluators. Some outrank you. Some want what you have. Some are looking for someone to step on. Some are looking for someone to lead. All are watching. And watching favors the quiet. Silence creates ambiguity. Ambiguity creates caution. Caution creates leverage. The modern world encourages the opposite: perform, share, express, react instantly, broadcast your thoughts, your moods, your grievances. This constant self-exposure trains others to see you as predictable. Predictability kills fear, and without fear, there is no respect. Understand this: public behavior is not communication, it is signaling. You signal whether you are stable or volatile, controlled or needy, sovereign or desperate. And once a signal is sent, it cannot be retracted. Humans do not update first impressions easily, they reinforce them. That is why public mistakes are permanent in a way private ones are not. In private, you can recalibrate. In public, you are archived. The powerful know this instinctively. Watch them. They do not rush to fill silence. They do not explain themselves. They do not perform morality. They conserve movement. They limit expression. They appear calm not because they are peaceful, but because calm unsettles those who are scanning for tells. Public restraint is not politeness. It is armor. When you treat public like a stage, you perform for approval. When you treat it like a battlefield, you move for position. One mindset seeks validation, the other seeks advantage. Most people are bleeding status without realizing it. They think they are invisible. They are not. They are simply being measured by people who will never tell them the results. This chapter shifts the lens from expression to control, from honesty to strategy, from comfort to survival. Because once you understand that public is hostile by default, you stop volunteering weakness, and that is where power begins. Weakness is not what you feel. Weakness is what others can see. Human psychology is brutally efficient. Long before logic or morality engage, the brain runs a rapid scan: stability, threat level, usefulness, rank. This happens in seconds. You do not get to opt out. You do not get to explain yourself afterward. Visible weakness is any behavior that leaks internal instability into the external environment, and the mind of the observer does not interpret it kindly, it interprets it opportunistically. People do not attack strength head-on, they circle weakness. This is where most men miscalculate. They think weakness must be dramatic, crying, begging, collapsing. In reality, weakness is often subtle: over-explaining, nervous humor, emotional volatility, compulsive agreement, performative morality, visible frustration, or the need to be understood. These behaviors trigger something ancient, a shift in how others treat you. Less patience, less respect, more testing, more boundary pressure. Not because people are evil, but because the human animal is adaptive. When weakness appears, the environment reorganizes around it. Those above you feel safer asserting dominance. Those below you feel braver challenging you. Those neutral begin categorizing you as non-threatening. The social field adjusts instantly, without discussion. This is why visible weakness is punished even in civilized spaces. Your boss doesn't consciously think he's weak. Your peers don't openly say we should exploit him. They simply feel less resistance when stepping over you. Psychology does the work silently. There is a specific mechanism at play: predictability erosion. When you display your emotional state openly, you reduce uncertainty. Uncertainty is what forces caution. Once others can anticipate how you'll react, when you'll apologize, when you'll get defensive, when you'll seek validation, you become manageable. Manageable men are not feared, they are used. This is why power figures are emotionally economal. They do not leak data. They do not react proportionally to provocation. They allow discomfort to exist. Discomfort reveals hierarchy. The moment you rush to smooth a situation, you signal lower rank. The moment you explain yourself unnecessarily, you admit judgment authority does not rest with you. The moment you seek reassurance publicly, you transfer power outward. Visible weakness is not about being bad or immoral. It is about violating one core rule of power psychology: never reveal what can be leveraged against you. Every public environment contains latent predators, not criminals, but climbers, opportunists, individuals who advance by identifying soft points. They are not loud, they are observant. They watch who talks too much, who reacts too quickly, who needs approval, who collapses under mild pressure. Once identified, you are placed into a mental category, and categories are sticky. You cannot argue your way out of one. Another fatal misunderstanding: people believe kindness protects them. It doesn't. Kindness without control is interpreted as weakness. Compassion without boundaries becomes permission. This is why good men are often sidelined, ignored, or quietly dominated. Not because goodness is bad, but because goodness without restraint is transparent. Transparency is exposure. Power psychology rewards opacity, not deception, opacity. The discipline of not revealing more than necessary. The discipline of letting others guess. Guessing creates fear. Fear creates respect. Respect creates space. Visible weakness collapses that space. Once space is gone, others step closer. They interrupt you. They test you. They speak over you. They dismiss you subtly. None of this feels dramatic. That's why it's dangerous. It feels normal, casual, social. By the time you notice the pattern, it's already entrenched. This chapter exists to sharpen your perception, to make you paranoid in the correct way, not of danger, but of leakage. Because survival in public is not about dominance displays, it is containment. And the men who survive longest are not the loudest or the strongest. They are the least readable. Every public action sends a signal. Most men are unaware they are broadcasting weakness constantly. This chapter exposes the 7 specific behaviors that immediately categorize you as low status, submissive, or exploitable. Recognizing them is the first step towards mastery. 1. Over-explaining yourself. When you justify your actions, thoughts, or intentions, you are admitting others might not trust your judgment. This vulnerability signals dependence, insecurity, and lack of authority. Those observing will record your need for approval and adjust their behavior to exploit it. Over-explaining.
Submission disguised as clarity. 2. Excessive apologizing. Apologies are chemical signals of weakness. Public apologies, even when seemingly minor, announce instability and uncertainty. Every sorry is cataloged by observers as a point of leverage. The elite do not apologize for perception. They neutralize threats silently, letting others overreact while they maintain composure. 3. Nervous or fidgety movements. Body language betrays intent faster than words. Constant touching of the face, tapping, shifting weight, or avoiding eye contact are microsignals of discomfort. Observers scan for these unconsciously. They amplify them in their minds, creating a mental dossier of weakness. Control of micromovements equals control of perception. 4. Seeking validation publicly. The moment you fish for affirmation in front of others, you surrender unseen territory. Whether through laughter, agreement, or social media performativity, you are transferring power. The observer sees a man dependent on external approval rather than self-determined authority. 5. Emotional reactivity. Outbursts of anger, frustration, or visible excitement are dangerous in public. These behaviors reveal predictability. Observers can anticipate your response, manipulate it, and exploit it. The disciplined man appears unshakable. The reactive man becomes a toy for those who recognize the pattern. 6. Oversharing personal information. Public disclosure of your struggles, intentions, or weaknesses is digital age voodoo. Every confession becomes a tool for someone to use against you later. The less they know, the more they are forced to guess, generating tension and respect. The more they know, the more they manipulate. 7. Performing morality or virtue. Showing ethical superiority, kindness, or generosity in public is misinterpreted as naivete or weakness unless wielded strategically. Most men perform virtue unconsciously. The elite never perform. It is displayed selectively to control perception, not to elicit approval. These 7 behaviors are not bad in a moral sense. They are lethal in a social sense. Each one, repeated publicly, becomes a data point for ranking, categorization, and manipulation. Humans are pattern-seeking machines. Once your patterns reveal dependency, insecurity, or volatility, you are mentally archived. That archive determines whether you are followed, ignored, dominated, or discarded. Elites understand that mastery of public behavior is mastery of perception. They conceal, contain, and control. They never overexpose, overexplain, or overreact. They are unreadable, like shadows in motion, visible yet unknowable. To survive and dominate public spaces, you must first identify and eliminate these behaviors from your repertoire. Containment of action, silence in speech, and precision in movement are the tools of invisible authority. Mastering these 7 behaviors doesn't make you popular, it makes you untouchable. It creates the space where power can grow, and in the silent calculations of every observer, untouchable men become legends. Every public action is being cataloged, not for morality, not for conversation, but for leverage. Power, whether subtle or overt, never sleeps. It observes, records, and assigns value silently. Those around you constantly interpret what you display, and every behavior becomes a data point in the invisible ledger of influence. Power doesn't care about your intentions, only your signals matter. When you hesitate, over-explain, fidget, apologize, or seek approval, power reads it as vulnerability. Each action is silently weighed. Can this person be influenced? Can they be intimidated? Can they be controlled? Can they rise, or should they be contained? History is filled with examples of subtle domination through observation. In royal courts, silent courtiers learned every micro-expression of rivals, and those who appeared reactive or overly emotional were stripped of influence. In battle, commanders noticed hesitation and redirected troops accordingly, often deciding the fate of men without a single word being spoken. Today, the battlefield is social, digital, and corporate, but the principle remains identical. The human brain operates like a predator scanning for weakness. Power figures, those who have survived selection, competition, and elimination, know how to interpret the signs. They understand that visible emotions, performative virtue, or constant explanation are behavioral cracks, and once those cracks are noticed, they are exploited. The key mechanism here is categorization. Every observer places you into a mental archetype: weak, useful, dangerous, irrelevant, or expendable. That categorization defines your social rank, access to resources, and potential threat level. Once categorized, people behave according to the assumptions they've made, often unconsciously reinforcing your limitations. Consider the patterns. The man who overreacts in meetings is ignored during critical decisions. The man who constantly explains himself is interrupted and contradicted, systematically stripped of authority. The man who seeks validation is laughed at subtly, mocked in whispers, and never trusted with confidential matters. Power interprets predictability as control. If your reactions are obvious, if your habits are easy to read, power calculates how to manipulate you. Conversely, unpredictability cloaked in calm detachment creates hesitation, uncertainty, and fear in observers. And fear is one of the most effective currencies of influence. This is why elites are unreadable. They conserve action, limit exposure, and strategically display only what benefits them. Their silence is a weapon. Their restraint is a shield. The chaos around them strengthens their aura because they are not participating in the predictable patterns everyone else is. History's masters of strategy, from Machiavelli's princes to cunning generals, understood that visible weakness determines how others act toward you. Missteps in public are not just embarrassing, they are structural vulnerabilities silently exploited by those with the patience to watch and the intelligence to act. Your task is simple but brutal. Recognize how your behaviors are interpreted by power and adjust them ruthlessly. Contain every micro-leak. Eliminate every public habit that reveals need, volatility, or submission. Replace reactive tendencies with calm, deliberate, and ambiguous actions that keep observers guessing. Because power never sleeps, and every moment you display weakness, you are being archived, measured, and, without anyone telling you, placed into a hierarchy you cannot negotiate from. Control is not a virtue, it is a weapon. In public, what you do not reveal matters far more than what you show. Every gesture, word, and reaction is data. If left unchecked, this data becomes a map others use to navigate, manipulate, and dominate you. Strategic camouflage is the art of denying that map. To survive and thrive, you must treat your behavior as armor. Every movement must be deliberate, every reaction measured. Silence is not passivity, it is concealment. By limiting your exposure, you prevent predators, rivals, and opportunists from reading your intentions. You stop providing them with ammunition. There are multiple layers to this camouflage. Speech control. Speak with purpose. Every word should serve either to misdirect, assert, or conceal. Avoid over-explaining or justifying. Fewer words mean fewer openings for interpretation. The more others have to guess about your motives, the more power shifts toward you. Emotional discipline. Emotions displayed publicly are signals of predictability. Anger, frustration, excitement, or joy, if uncontrolled, can be leveraged against you. Observe calm restraint. Let others react first. When they are emotionally exposed and you are controlled, you are dominant without moving a muscle. Physical poise. Every micro-movement communicates status. Fidgeting, shifting weight, touching the face, or checking your surroundings nervously all reveal internal chaos. Adopt steady, controlled motions. Position yourself as immovable. Your body language should be ambiguous enough to keep observers uncertain, yet confident enough to discourage testing. Behavioral timing. Do not act impulsively. Let situations unfold and observe. Camouflage requires patience. By delaying reactions and letting others expose themselves first, you create opportunities for leverage. Timing converts restraint into an instrument of power. Concealed knowledge. Never reveal more than necessary. Every thought, plan, or intention you expose gives others a blueprint to manipulate or preempt you. Share strategically, and when in doubt, share nothing. The unknown creates tension. Tension breeds respect and caution. Strategic camouflage transforms weakness into invisibility. When others cannot categorize you, they hesitate to challenge you. When they cannot anticipate your moves, they are cautious. And in hesitation lies your advantage. Elite men understand that dominance is not constant action, it is controlled perception. Power is rarely exercised through confrontation alone, it is exercised by denying predictability. Camouflage creates the space for calculated moves while others scramble to interpret your behavior. Every public arena becomes a chessboard. Those who react impulsively are pieces easily captured. Those who mask their intentions are the unseen players, moving strategically while others unwittingly align with their designs. Camouflage is not deceit, it is selective exposure. It is the discipline of showing enough to maintain presence, but withholding enough to remain untouchable. When practiced consistently, it reshapes social dynamics, making others adjust to you rather than the reverse. To summarize, mastery of behavior in public
is mastery of perception. Every gesture, word, and reaction is either a weapon or a vulnerability. Choose control. Adopt strategic camouflage. Deny leverage. And in that denial, power silently accrues. The self you present publicly is a construct, often weak, reactive, and predictable. This version, formed through habit, social conditioning, and unconscious leakage, is your greatest liability. To survive and dominate, you must destroy it entirely. Only by killing this version of yourself can you replace it with one that is controlled, untouchable, and strategically sovereign. Identity death begins with ruthless observation. Record every behavior that betrays need, insecurity, or emotional volatility. Over-explaining, apologizing, fidgeting, seeking approval, these are the habits of the old self. Each one is a thread holding you hostage to perception. Pull the threads, let them unravel. Replacement is not creation, it is sculpting. Shape a presence that is ambiguous, silent, and precise. This new identity is not defined by emotion, morality, or popularity. It is defined by control, unreadability, and leverage. Observers cannot place you into a category, and that uncertainty generates power. Your speech becomes deliberate. Every word has intent. You no longer react impulsively, you respond strategically. Silence is a tool, not avoidance. The audience of the world, the observers, rivals, and predators, cannot predict your actions. This unpredictability becomes your armor. Physicality must follow mental discipline. Movements are deliberate, posture unyielding, gaze controlled. You do not fidget, overreact, or expose tension. Your body communicates authority, calm, and dominance even when your mind is calculating. Every micro-expression is a weapon of restraint. Emotion is internalized, not displayed. Anger, fear, excitement, and desire are private instruments, released only when they serve strategic advantage. You become a vault. Observers glimpse hints, but never the full contents. Curiosity and caution are generated without a single word. Behavioral camouflage extends to social networks, online presence, and casual interactions. Nothing is shared unnecessarily.
Personal information, intentions, and vulnerabilities are stored for private use, never broadcast. Public exposure is lethal. Control is survival. Killing the public self is not about suppression. It is about transference. Transfer authority, sovereignty, and strategic advantage from the old reactive self to the new unreadable self. Every action reinforces the narrative of dominance. Others cannot manipulate you because they cannot predict you. They cannot categorize you because you refuse to fit their templates. Finally, embrace the psychological consequences. You may feel alienated, misunderstood, or isolated. That is intentional. Power is never comfortable. The untouchable self is not socially popular. It is feared, respected, and dominant. Loneliness is the price of sovereignty. This is the ultimate transformation, from visible vulnerability to untouchable mastery. Every public arena, every social encounter, every potential predator is met with a presence that cannot be read, challenged, or manipulated. You no longer participate in the world as a reactive subject. You dominate it silently, calculating every move while others expose themselves. The old self is dead. The new self is strategic, sovereign, and untouchable. The world notices, they adjust, they hesitate, and in that hesitation, your power multiplies. Most men will never survive the social arenas they inhabit. They bleed status without realizing it, exposing weakness in ways that predators, rivals, and opportunists catalog silently. By the time they notice, it is too late. The hierarchy has already been set, and they are relegated to obscurity or exploitation. This chapter exists as a final warning. Visibility without control is fatal. Every gesture, word, and micro-expression is under scrutiny. Every lapse in discipline becomes data. Every reaction signals opportunity to others. Ignorance of this fact ensures consistent subjugation. Now you have seen the mechanics of public perception, the psychological weapons used against the unprepared, and the path to erasing vulnerability. But knowledge alone is insufficient. You must act. Kill the old self. Cultivate camouflage. Dominate your exposure. The invisible hand of power waits for no one. Hesitation invites subordination. Do not confuse this with morality, friendship, or comfort. They are luxuries the powerless indulge in. You are not here for validation or approval. You are here to survive, thrive, and command. The elite exist outside ordinary rules because they master these laws silently. Take this final action now. Audit every public behavior and eliminate leakage. Internalize control over words, emotions, and movements. Make unpredictability and silence your default weapons. Train your mind to observe the predator's gaze before they act. The channel of power opens only for those who are unreadable, disciplined, and strategically sovereign. The rest remain prey, overlooked, and expendable. Do not return to old habits. The world does not forgive exposure. The world rewards mastery. Apply these methods relentlessly. Your new identity, the untouchable, unreadable self, is your ticket to dominance. This is your final warning. Maintain control or be consumed.